too late. The
too
process
late.
has begun.
It's too late.
Okay.
It's gone.
Okay.
It's live. It's done.
We're back. It says live on the screen, so that's why I always say live. But I just want to beat you to this. I've been lying all this time. This is not a lie.
I feel so betrayed and deceived right now.
But we are recording officially at this moment, and so welcome, Fathery. You need no introduction.
Howdy.
I will allow you to introduce yourself. Fathery is from TextTrack. This video, pause it, the magic of YouTube, or pause your podcast and pull over to the side of the road, and then put on TextTrack right now and watch it or listen to it. And
yeah,
that's
we give you options. You can do either.
And you're on iTunes too, right?
No, I'm not doing iTunes because no one is listening to iTunes anymore.
No one?
It's not like it used to be.
Fine. I'm no one.
Surely there must be at least one person listening to iTunes. So Hale.
Yes.
Starfleet Boy listens to iTunes. He's the only person keeping the platform alive.
Well, I'm sure Apple would really appreciate that.
Fun fact, I was in an Apple iPhone commercial for the iPhone 5C. So you actually if you ever saw that commercial, you saw me in your subconscious before you ever
That's amazing. You need to send me the link to that.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. You'll be like,
I need
oh
to
my
see
God.
that. Wow. The iPhone 5.
iPhone 5C, the colorful ones.
Oh my God.
The ones that were like different
colors.
colors.
So old. It's like what?
Yeah,
3 years ago?
I'm so old. No, that's that was like at least 10 years ago, actually. No, 9 years ago now. Oh, Gato needs to go outside. Hang on a second. Now that was not professional.
So that's not professional at all. This is your own podcast. You're walking out the door. You're knocking the mic.
Lying to people about it being live.
Lying to people. This is terrible.
Wow, I just feel really depressed right now. I had such a good feeling when I was starting that we were going to stay on track, and we're totally not even talking.
Yeah, we didn't make it very far, did we?
We didn't make it very far, did we? All right, so we're here to talk about.
Do we need like an official long introduction to Take Strick?
Yes, but that could come in the discussion.
We can do an official short introduction. How about that? That might be easier.
Actually, and then we didn't really get too much of PJ's story. So if he comes on today, we'll have to get his story on too. So this could be a long, just your Star Trek story. We like to hear it.
Oh, do you want to hear my Star Trek story? Didn't I do this on Drunk Space Nine?
You did. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, you should just listen to that when I was drunk.
Okay. I see. So we're promoting the other show.
Fathery is
a cross promotion.
It is
Cross-platform promotion. That's the name of the game.
And non-linear. So
this is the big crossover event of Starfleet Boy cinematic universe.
This is Avengers Assemble.
Oh my goodness! I'm just gonna hide over here.
Directed by Joss Whedon.
There we go. I'm gone.
What's up with? Is that like a Pokemon hat?
It is a fox.
Okay.
A fox hat, and it's a like in my headcanon, it's a species that is a member of the Federation, and they wear their insignias on their little headbands.
That doesn't follow regulation.
Yeah.
I'm in the Discovery universe, so I can do whatever I want.
They have no regulation.
You know,
there's
Brian Fuller originally wanted a tardigrade Starfleet officer on Discovery.
Yeah,
it's completely
that would have had a Starfleet insignia as a necklace or like a dog collar, like hanging from its neck. And yeah, that would just be the stupidest thing ever. So
did anyone ever render that or Photoshop it? I'm gonna look it up while you guys talk about it.
Look, I have nothing against Brian Fuller, and I do not know what happened behind the scenes, but like just based off what I know of what he brought to the show, as in like the way the Klingons were, the whole idea about the tardigrade being a crew member, I'm quite happy that he's not associated with the show as of now.
I'll say this, maybe maybe he had a plan that would have made all of that stuff work.
I don't think so,
I'm
because
skeptical.
Aaron Harvitz and Gretchen J. Berg were like his sidekicks, and they didn't follow through with any of that plan.
Do you guys? I have a question, since I actually like listened to both of you for Star Trek information. But is there like a direct link to this tardigrade game and like Discovery, other than the obvious like coincidences?
I
like,
don't think,
is there
I don't
some?
think we should talk about that. But...
Oh, we can't talk about that.
I mean, we can if y'all want to, but
just if you could answer real quickly, is there a direct link? Is there a direct link? Like, did Brian Fuller play the game, or like?
I think it's up to you to decide whether there's a link or not. I think that's how it is.
Yeah, the evidence is out there. Just look into it. Look at like the clips of the game. Look at what date stuff came out.
Formulate your own opinion and move on.
I just think of it like, remember A Bug's Life and Ants came out at the same time?
Or Deep Impact and Armageddon.
Yeah, that's how I was thinking about it. But oh well.
Okay, so
anyways,
movie studios have a tendency of doing that. They have a tendency on like just the Wild, I think it was, and Madagascar came out the same year as well.
Well, you got to think that tardigrades kind of entered this like scientific pop cultural landscape.
Yeah, not too long ago.
Right. So you would think, okay, in the next few years,
I propose Cosmos was the first time tardigrades came into the mainstream. The new one with Neil deGrasse Tyson. But anyways,
when you have like a new concept like that introduced, you got to think, okay, in a next few years, we'll probably see some people, trying to use this in entertainment and media and stuff. So.
It's kind of like how in the 90s, everyone thought that it would be possible to build a friggin' lift, like an elevator that went from like on Earth to like orbit. And so everyone started putting that in sci-fi. I love the space stuff. But that's just a stupid idea. Everyone realized it was dumb and it would never work. And now in sci-fi, you never see it anymore.
But you saw it on Voyager.
You saw it on Voyager in the 90s.
But that's a real, the space elevator is a real NASA project, actually. So
I don't believe you. It's a stupid idea.
I 100% promise you that a space elevator is a viable, they were looking at viable ways.
Most buildings fall down. You want to build an elevator? Come on.
So it's part of it's anchored out in space, right? So it stiffens or whatever, and they were going to use carbon fiber nanotubing.
What do you think the speed of an elevator is? What do you think? Like
it's like super slow. It's super slow, but the reason they were, if I recall correctly,
45 kilometers an hour in Voyager. I think
is that right? You actually know that?
Well, that thing's hauling ass, but your typical elevator ain't going to go that quickly.
Well, the typical elevator won't be like run by Neelix, will it?
So, even if the space elevator took a day to get to space, like you could just put cargo on there and not worry about it. That could be its purpose. It's like low risk space stuff. Anyways, so we're here to talk about Star Trek Discovery season 2, episode 4.
We're actually going to talk about some Star Trek on here.
Episode 4. An Obal for Charon, which I believe is the correct way to say it. I'm not sure.
Is it Charon? Is it?
It's either Charon, like overpronounced like that, or Charon, but I can't remember from humanities class which pronunciation was correct. I've heard both.
This is all Greek mythology, isn't it?
How did they say it in the Mirror universe? Because that was the name of the Emperor Palace.
Oh, that's right. USS. I don't know. I forgot.
Charon. Didn't they say Charon?
I think it was Charon. So
Charon.
I think that's how we should say it.
I need these discussions before I do my video.
Yeah, this is good. Someone else could do all the grunt work and learn how to say the words.
That's it.
It's a casual and informal conversation. It's the best thing ever. Anyway, so we're here to talk about this episode, which I am happy to give the summary, but I always offer the summary to our guests. So Fathery or Sean, would you like to do the summary for this episode?
I did just summarize it last night when I recorded my podcast for this episode.
So we can just put a link to the audience. That's a good idea. All right. So now that you've returned from the summary, see what I did there? Isn't that great? So now that you've returned from the summary, audience, hopefully it was great. I haven't heard it yet, but I will have heard it by the time you see this video, which is fascinating. Anyways, where were we? Oh yes. No, we did that already.
Oh, my bad.
the audience paused the video, went and listened to the summary on Text Track, and then came back. But if I had to do a really quick kind of reactionary summary, which is something new on Starfleet Boy, because it's, you know, we're trying new things today. It's just, holy shit, wow. This was an amazing episode. And I'm kind of giving away my rating. I know we saved them for the end. It's super professional. But I really enjoyed the hell out of this episode. It was fantastic. The heck. That's all. That's the summary reaction.
So the summary was you really enjoyed the hell out of it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Right from
if you want to do a one-line summary, it's one of those a traditional trick trope of like a space being or anomaly, or we don't know what, an unknown object kind of stops the ship in its tracks, and then we have like the whole intrigue of discovering what it is, what it wants, can we escape from it, and etc. And then the modern serialized format also throws in a couple other plot lines, and we continue on with the Tilly / Spore Drive plot line.
I only saw the episode once. This week was it's a rough week for Starfleet Boys. Very tired. but what like, I took notes. I tried to watch it this morning, and I took notes from my mind, and the things that I remembered were number one was awesome. What did you guys think of that scene?
Number one was awesome.
I really love number one. And
I really love Rebecca Romaine. So if we could see more of her, I'd be down for that. But they did a good job of kind of reinventing the character that we only see one time in the cage. And I loved that they threw in just a little character detail where, oh yeah, she likes hot sauce on her burger and fries. It reminded me of stuff Michael Piller would do on The Next Generation to try to like flesh out the TNG characters, so that what people call the Piller filler, just like those little character moments, makes people feel more real.
I like that. I never heard that before.
Yeah, and you get the impression that her and Pike, you know, just in that one little conversation they have, it really sold, yeah, these are two colleagues that have been working together. They have a good working relationship.
Yeah, I agree. I wasn't convinced by the casting originally, because I do think she's an amazing actor, but she just doesn't resemble
Majel Barrett.
I find, and so I agree with my own assessment. She doesn't resemble her at all. But I noticed they did like a huge like a good job with the makeup. They really put like an original series style makeup on her to make her look like the character as she was presented to us in the cage, right?
That's one of the most impressive things, I think. What's really what do you call it? The hype that I'm in. I'm in a hype place right now. Like I'm just like caught in the
you're in the moment, right? But
I'm in the moment or whatever. But that's one thing that I've noticed this season, is that like the production value is just seems so much more focused, maybe, or like just better in general. And I think that's really what's like exciting me the most, is that like I'm starting to see like in a future kind of episode somehow like this merging with TOS. I have no idea what that's going to look like. I'm not that imaginative. I could come up with things, but I don't know if they're like sensible. But I just see that the show is like making an effort to line up, as they said or stated that they would do. At some point, we're going to all be like, oh yeah, it lines up perfectly with TOS. I don't know how that's going to happen.
That's
a promise.
They're clearly trying to do that. If they succeed or not, I don't know. But
right. That's yet to be determined.
I think the problem is, for the moment, like what we would have all loved is like everyone would have accepted that it's different and it's going to gradually move towards the original series aesthetic. But what it does feel like is it does feel like course correction. Well, I mean, for me, it feels like they went completely off the rails, and they like now they're kind of backtracking on like how whack they went. It doesn't feel like they originally planned to have it like this weird and then gradually bring it back. That's my problem. Like the Klingons being an example of that. Yeah. I felt like they just went completely, like they went crazy with the Klingons, and now they're kind of tweaking it back. It doesn't feel like they're actually integrating them.
Which I'm willing to excuse a lot. I'm willing to excuse a lot of my qualms, only because I was made aware of all the controversies, behind Brian Fuller and like the shakeups, and like it does look like a show that doesn't have a clear focus or direction. It's getting so much better. It's like night and day, I feel like, from season 1 to season 2. Like I feel like the show does have a lot more clarity, a lot more focus, and it's like definitely headed in like a Star Trek direction, if you will.
I think it's very chaos on the bridge, isn't it? Because this is exactly the same thing that happened in TNG. Right? TNG season 1 and 2 was like absolute chaos. Like the documentary shows you that it was all over the show. They had so many writers, and this is the same situation. Well, a similar situation.
It is, but I think it's clear to see the show has benefited from a more stable year in going from season 1 to season 2.
Kurtzman has a vision, right? I know that not everyone agrees with him, but he seems at least focused on what he's doing. So,
yeah, I don't think he's the greatest writer, given just some of his stuff he's worked on before. But I think as long as he has a good staff, a good team of writers, then I think Discovery will be fine.
I think he doesn't even need to write, to be honest. If he puts himself in a showrunner position where he's the one like overseeing all of these different shows, I think you have like just set up main people. Have Erica Lippold and I forgot what she.
Bowie Kim
working on Section 31. Have Mike McMahon working on Lower Decks, and like have all of these different people working on.
You know what's exciting about that?
Supervise them, right?
Yeah, that's what Rick Berman did. Berman did that when he had. Ira Stephen Bear running DS9 at the same time. Brandon Braga was running Voyager.
Yeah.
It makes room for more writers, Sean.
It does. I think there's enough executive producers because there's like 21 of them. But
like every writer from season 1 who stayed on the show got promoted to producer.
Yeah, I know. It's like
hey,
the word producer comes up so much.
If I had money, I would definitely be investing it in Star Trek right now in terms of like where it could pay me back like big time, because I do think that despite whatever people think of Star Trek Discovery, like all these other shows that are being born from it, so there's so much excitement. I've never seen this level of excitement just around Star Trek in general. I mean, like people are so like I know I'm focused on it, but when I go to Twitter, it seems like there's like politics and then there's Star Trek. But
to be honest, that's probably just what you're following, to be honest.
We also didn't have
damn it, Twitter. Show me reality, Twitter. I don't want to see this.
There is no Twitter, 25 years ago when they had 2 Trek shows on, we're making movies, and then we're starting the next show with Voyager.
That was a very nice post, Sean. Thank you.
What was a really nice post
on the Twitter where you're like, I found friends. I got some friends.
Well, I did.
I know.
Context for people that are listening to us. Someone was asking if someone said that they could see Star Trek fans uniting and doing meet and greets and whatever, just like they used to do in the 90s. And someone said, well, that's not really going to happen because it's all about social media. So I said, well, I found the best of both worlds, because now I have a bunch of friends on social media and we all talk to each other all the time. So,
and we disagree.
We do
a lot.
I disagree with your exaggerated ratings.
Is this going to be a 10 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10?
You know it's going to be a 10 out of 10, right?
Audience.
So what are you going to do? What are you going to do when season 2 finale is going to be mind blowing, and you're going to have to give it like an 11, right?
I might have to.
Well, kind of like how the warp scale is only supposed to go to 10, but then sometimes
he'll just
Sean has placed a restriction of warp 9.999. He has the official title of co-host. He's been on just enough that I have to. You've been on.
I am so obsessed with not accepting 10s that even if I were the current showrunner of all of Star Trek, I would remove the episode where Tom Paris goes warp 10 from canon. I would say that that one episode must be removed from canon, because I disapprove of the idea of going like warp 10, and I don't like the fact that humans evolve into whatever they are.
What about in All Good Things when Admiral Riker orders the Enterprise to go at warp 13?
That's right, he does that. It's true.
But
is that the old scale? That's the old scale?
No. Because the new scale was established with TNG, so warp 9.99999 was like the theoretical warp limit, and it was like super fast. Like if you were at warp 9.9999999, you're like going solar systems, you know, like in seconds, right, or something like that. It's crazy.
Okay, I can excuse someone that says warp, for example, warp 13, in the sense that like they're using a different scale, or it's just like an expression or whatever. But I can't excuse the visual representation of what happens to you when you go warp 10, and the fact that they completely misunderstood the concept of evolution. We don't like anyway.
Well, no, yeah, there's a reason why that is considered one of the worst episodes, if not the worst.
I have to see this episode. I don't think I remember. I've seen the memes.
Threshold? You don't remember Threshold?
I remember vaguely. I remember vaguely the scene, you know, where they've de-evolved or whatever into the catfish people.
Yeah, this is a PG-13 show, right? I don't know if I can go into the full details of what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, no disrespect to those who wrote it, though. I mean, that's the thing. If I were to just objectively rate the episode, it probably wouldn't. It wouldn't be like a 2 or a 1 or something. It would have I suppose, an average rating, because on its own, it's still an episode that's watchable. The people act well. To be honest, like it all looks good. It's just that in the general Star Trek story, it makes no fucking sense.
What did you guys think of the kind of moment between number 1 and Captain Pike regarding the holograms?
I loved it.
I do like they're addressing that, but it's not as good as the idea I came up with for how to get rid of the holograms.
Can you remind us what it was, please?
So my idea was to say that the holograms are not very secure, and that people might be spying to your communications. So,
which happens on FaceTime now, apparently.
Yeah,
you guys. I don't know.
Well,
sorry, real life
this. You know, in the previous episode before this, we had a moment where Pike was talking to Captain Vela of Starbase 5, and it sounded like they were kind of talking about Section 31 in there a little bit when Captain Vela says, you know, there's people coming after Spock, and I think it could be cool if Pike kind of knows about Section 31. He's kind of heard of this shadow group that might be around. And that's why he likes to talk on the screens, because he knows that the holographic stuff isn't secured and they might be listening to it.
The trailer showed us that he knows Section 31, though. But then, from what I gather, Section 31 isn't yet a rogue operation at this point. They're kind of just a division of Starfleet.
Yeah, I'm willing to give them time to explain that, just like I gave them time to explain the Spore Drive and all the other weird stuff Discovery does. But how
I think them going rogue would explain why they're never mentioned in TOS. So
but you still have like Cisco is like, I've never heard of this. There's no record of it in DS9.
Well, but records can be expunged.
How cool would this be if
torpedoes can be faked? No, sorry.
What if you had a moment where Captain Pike is like, oh my God, Section 31 is listening to this, and you know he runs over to Burnham, who's like talking to Sarek on the hologram or something. He's like, turn this off, shut this down. And like he runs onto the bridge, and you have like Detmer and Owasikin are looking at this holographic star chart, like trying to plan out their course. He's like, no, like turn this off. They can monitor all these holograms. Kill the power to all the holograms. You have like Tilly is in like her room, like brushing her hair in front of a holographic mirror, and like that shuts down. All the holograms are shut down because people can monitor those. And that would explain it. They'd be like, oh yeah, this is why people stopped using holograms.
I can explain holocommunications. It can't explain like the copious amount of candles.
Yeah,
in the quarters.
That one.
I think that Nemesis can be like an interesting connection to all this holography stuff, because the technology that Shinzon is using could be like for whatever reason the technology was abandoned, and then it's brought up by the Romulans acquire it, and then they start using it. So it's kind of an interesting idea.
DS9 in season 5
yeah, that's right.
For a little bit.
The Maquis thing, yeah.
They only do it for like 3 episodes, and then they drop it.
And they were confined, right, to like a platform or something.
So there's a moment where they talk to holograms on the Defiant, and it's clearly marked like he's in this kind of zone with the cat, like the guy can only speak in his zone. But then they do it on the space station, I think.
Yeah.
Because at one point, one guy appears. It's never explicitly mentioned that he's a hologram, but he has this weird blue lighting on him.
It's the episode you just watched with your wife that you tweeted about with Bashir, where we learn, spoilers for DS9. He's genetically enhanced.
What? He's supposedly a hologram, right? That was the intent. He's not just standing there under like 2 lights.
Like that
randomly
admiral
in the
that
corner,
shows up.
just standing there in the corner. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he was supposed to be a hologram.
Okay, because it was never like addressed.
I think that's the last time they do it. I think they drop it after that episode.
Okay. Okay.
They're just
so they use the hologram just for Eddington, essentially.
Yeah, and then this weird admiral that showed up one time to explain why genetic engineering is bad.
Mm-hmm. Khan.
One time we had this guy named Paul Stamets who tried to insert tardigrade DNA in himself, and we all know how that ended up. So don't be like that.
Doesn't mention Stamets, just mentions Khan.
I also like that they addressed all the implants and like kind of like the biotechnology as being like an exception that was made during the war, and you could tell like in Detmer's case maybe she had some kind of injury and like that's actually kind of like helping her to see as well as being an enhanced.
I have no problem with Detmer. I don't think she's enhanced. I think she's just like kind of, as you say, repaired or cured. She had a problem and they fixed it, and that's fine. She's not enhanced. I have a problem with Area.
Akin to Geordi and his visor.
Yeah, same thing. That's all right. But then you can see that that's like an outdated visor or like an older version because it's huge. It takes up half his head. He needs to be bald for it to function, whatever. But Arium is just that's a little too.
Well, we don't know
we don't know her deal. Like we don't know. Maybe she was a human that got like rebuilt by some ancient alien.
Her deal is she looked cool. That's why they put her in there.
Well, yeah.
Oh my god, that design looks awesome. Let's just use it. But
in the
you're telling me
comic,
you wouldn't go on a date with Arium?
Who are you asking?
What?
Both of you.
Arium or the actresses who have played Arium?
Yeah, because like
the character. Well, the character.
Like because the character.
No, because every time she moves, it makes like the weird like robot like.
I know. You can hear her. She takes over the bridge, right?
Yeah. Like,
come on.
Can we put you on silent?
Oh my god! What if it's that easy? Like in it, like
she's inconsiderate for not doing that. Just like Linus is inconsiderate for sneezing on people.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay. I will say that they did course correct Linus a little bit in this episode. It was all right. He was neither a good neither a bad character in this episode. He was just present. But I'm still greatly angered by the scene where he sneezes on
I loved it.
I can explain it though. I got an explanation for it because this is what I do. I come up with ways to explain the shoddy writing on Star Trek. Been doing it all my life. What if Saurians rarely ever get sick and like he's never sneezed before, so he didn't know the protocol.
He's got like what 6 nasal whatever it is.
Yeah.
So he gets sick. Trust me. He gets sick.
No, because they have like a very sterilized planet, so they never catch colds. They don't have any allergens. It's only like when you leave the Saurian world and go into Starfleet that you might sneeze.
So is Saurian brandy?
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
I know. I won't ask that question.
The Saurian brandy is the snot. It ages and it becomes.
So they just sneeze into that weird shaped bottle from the original series,
and then it becomes Saurian.
That's why it's shaped like that, so like the snot can like run out of their nostril into the bottle.
Disgusting.
Then you have like McCoy and Kirk, like, damn it, Jim, this is some fine brandy.
This is this Linus creeping around.
You see like his head poke around the corner.
Gotcha.
Oh my goodness!
That's a plot for Lower Decks right there.
Gentlemen, get off my bridge. It's like with that language. So about correcting writing and everything like that. Don't you think that like the way this episode kind of like played out was pretty brilliant in terms of like how Saru was getting sick ahead of time? There was all these like clues, and then I didn't expect that it would be the empathy thing and all that stuff. It was very cool. And then downloading.
I am not often fooled by episodes, and I thought that they were going to kill Saru.
Yeah, they tripped me into it.
That was heavily influenced by like my knowledge of Doug Jones in real world, because he was supposed to be in What We Do in the Shadows, the American remake of Taika's movie, right? And he apparently isn't associated with that project anymore, so he's no longer being a vampire. And I thought, okay, so he's dropped out of that. He's also got no movie slated, And I was like, wait a minute, he's doing no movies and he dropped out of this TV show and now they're killing Saru. So I thought they're going to kill him. I believe it. And they played it right till the very end and I was fooled. They didn't kill him. Yeah, but I really did. I don't know. I thought it was going to happen.
At first, I was like, "There's no way he's gonna die." You know, when they showed in the trailers, when you do see him sick, when he's laying there with like no shirt on, and Burnham's like, "Oh, you're like family to me" or whatever. But then when I was watching the episode, they draw it out so long, it made me think, well, you know, in season 1 they did kill people. We lost Lorca and what was Rika Sharma's character?
Landry.
And I was like, they do murder people. Something like I don't know. And then I remember in the trailers, like we see his sister later. But I was like, what if they go to the Kelpian world and they pick up the sister to like replace Saru? What if he is gonna die? Like it could happen. So and I don't get tricked often either. But yeah, they did a good job drawing that out and making me worried about one of the best characters on the show dying.
It's comforting to know that I wasn't the only one, because I am not often tricked by this kind of thing, and it's comforting to know that you aren't either, and that you were tricked as well. So, props to them, I suppose. They did a good job on that.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sean is comforted.
God. I'll tell you what, I still disagree with Saru's whole thing about General Order 1. He's all like, now that we know that our people have been lied to, we can, General Order 1 doesn't apply. It's like, how does that logic work? It's not because now you feel even more sorry for your species that the Prime Directive shouldn't be applied. I agree that the situation is more sad. It's even more saddening now that you know that. But then Prime Directive still applies, right? Or it should.
Well, breaking the Prime Directive is a big theme in Star Trek. So I would be disappointed if we don't see him. Yeah, like he needs to go break the Prime Directive at this point.
Here's a thought from my wife while we're watching the episode. She says, "Oh my God, so Kelpians can actually pretty much evolve from like further to what they are." She said, "What if the Baul are just other Kelpians but that have lost their fear?"
Oh, they're cannibals.
And so that's what my wife said that, and I was like, I just looked at it, I was like, "My God, it's amazing."
That is dark.
That is
dark. Awesome.
It's so dark. It is awesome. No, it's true.
Or what if they turn into Red Angels when their gangula fall off?
Okay, so Saru's gonna like
the Red Angel transition. The Red Angel is Captain Kirk, played by William Shatner. We already have established
come on.
On Starfleet Boy that at the end when the Red Angel appears, it'll dissipate, and then Captain Kirk.
It's exactly the same shape, isn't it?
It is.
It's nowhere close. I've met Shatner twice. He was an asshole both times.
He doesn't look like the Red Angel.
No, I don't believe it.
He's an asshole on Twitter, to be honest.
Say it ain't so. No.
I mean, I still like the guy, but
I think he's misunderstood.
Okay, I need him to do an intro. Like
he's Canadian. What if all the angriness and meanness of Canadians just all go into William Shatner, and that's what he is? He's the one mean Canadian.
Oh my God, he's the what's he called? Armus? No, what? Well,
yes, he's the Armus. He's the Armus of Canada.
Yeah, from Skin of Evil.
He's Armus of Canada. That's brilliant.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they purged all of their angry emotions into this one blob that became William Shatner.
Oh my God. Okay.
William Shatner, if you're listening to this, please, we love you.
We love you. Something bugged me in this episode, and I understand that they don't have main engineering like the set built, and that they don't have actors to play the main engineer and other engineers, but it's pretty specifically, it's explicitly explained that Reno she comes from main engineering to this part of it, like this other engineering room, where Tilly and Stamets are doing their thing, right? She's coming to help them, and then when Burnham leaves the bridge, she says, "I'm going to engineering." She goes to that room, and it annoys me because why are you going to this room where Stamets is a farmer, as explained by Reno? Reno is just like she's just a random chick at some point, and Tilly shouldn't even be there. Why are you going to this room where you could be going to like main engineering with the chief engineer? He's the one that's going to fix things, or she's the one that's going to fix things.
Yeah, they've called the set engineering a couple times this season, which is weird because in season 1 they at one point referred to it as Engineering Test Bay Alpha.
But then they did refer to Stamets as chief engineer as well.
Yeah, so but then Ted Sullivan
chief engineer of the spore drive or whatever it is.
Yeah, that was his solution to that. But
wait, what was the explanation? Sorry.
Stamets is the chief engineer of the spore drive, and that's why one of the computer screens displayed his name. It said like Paul Stamets, chief engineer.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Because the people were like, well, okay. What's going on with that? And Ted Sullivan tweeted like, no. We meant that he is chief engineer of the spore drive.
Yeah, okay.
They throw out some kind of like number of how many experiments can happen on Discovery at any given moment. It was like something like 300.
300 and something.
And so I can only imagine that there's a ton of different like labs all over the ship. And so that's probably what the majority of the sets would be, is like a lab of some kind in my mind.
But then they should have a main engineer. Yeah, call it a lab. Call it like the spore lab or whatever. But also, it's weird because they did put the they did put the warp engine in that
it's behind
section as well. It's behind there. It looks they reimagined the TOS, the original series engineering, and they put it in there. It's weird.
TOS.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm confused by the whole engineering. I think they should have done a layout of their ship and like really organize what they wanted to build, what they didn't want to build.
I was really impressed at how many stories there were in this episode that kind of flowed pretty smoothly. Like, at times there were a little bit of like, oh wait, am I following this correctly? But they had we still obviously are doing the search for Spock continues in this episode, but I didn't understand his shuttle's coming from. He escaped from the starbase. They have his warp signature. Why is the Discovery the only ship in range? Is it because the Enterprise is broken and that's the only other ship in this sector or something like that? Do you guys remember anything about that?
I think that Section 31 ship that we saw last week,
chasing.
I think they're going to be the ones pursuing him. And Pike kind of knows about Section 31. That's why he's so concerned about like, no, they're going to murder this guy. Like, I got to get to him first and prove he's innocent. But it might just be they're the only two ships going after him. It might be that Section 31 is aware that Spock knows something, that information that they want to keep secret or keep to themselves. So they're trying to get him. That's one thing with this show, is that a lot of times I feel like I need to reserve judgment until after I see it play out, because they draw things out so
logically. A lot of the ships in Starfleet, because logically there's pretty much no more ships left, because they explained that 80% of Starfleet was destroyed.
Oh yeah.
So there's not. That was at the end of season 1. So there's not many ships left, and I assume that the ones that are left are kind of out there helping the colonies, or helping like the planets, the members of the Federation. I would suppose that's what they're doing. And so like the Constitution class ships were out doing their missions. One came back, that was Pike's ship, but then it had to be repaired. So now we're following the Discovery. Is essentially the one main ship that they have currently.
It'd be interesting to see if sabotage is is at work for the whole Enterprise breaking down thing. It is a nice coincidence, though. I'm excited to see how the whole Spock thing unfolds. I think the show's really like getting me like hungry to be like, what's going on? It's like,
I'm not too hype about Spock. I'm hype about the Red Angel. I want to know what that is. I don't want it to be an Iconian. I agree that it probably will be, but I don't want it to be. I want it to be something new, something that we've never seen before.
I don't know if it will be, because of something that came up in this episode when they're having their little meeting early on, talking about the Red Angel.
She says it's never been like they've never seen anything like it. Is that it?
Yeah. And then Kayla Detmer says maybe this isn't a species. Maybe it is a creature that's kind of one of a kind. And that made me think maybe, there's only one Red Angel. So, which would rule out Iconians, obviously, because they were an entire race. So,
okay, well, that's good, because I really want it to be a new idea. But then I'm a complicated person, because I want it to be a new idea, but then I don't want it to be too big as to like why it would never be referenced later on.
I mean, the spore drive was a new idea.
Yeah. I'm very, very happy that my wish is coming true. They're canceling the spore drive.
It's too soon, though. I don't want them to do it already.
It's fine. they can use it this season to go from one end of the galaxy to the other, because clearly some of these red spots are in the Delta Quadrant. But I want them to get rid of it real soon. That the whole spinny thing, the spores, I don't know, I don't like it.
It's a good story generator, though. You can get a lot of stories out of that, and I feel like
I think it renders space exploration too
This is a quick plug for another podcast called Binge Mode Harry Potter, and
because that was relevant to the conversation.
It will be. Wait, it will be. Watch.
Oh my god.
J.K. Rowling in Harry Potter uses this thing called the time turner. For those of you, does everyone here know about Harry Potter?
So I am the only person in the English-speaking world that has never watched a single Harry Potter movie or read a single Harry Potter.
Have you at least watched Fantastic Beasts 1 and 2?
No, I don't watch that either.
Oh, you need to watch Fantastic Beasts.
Well. Anyways, in the book, this is spoilers. In the book, she destroys all the time turners.
Oh no!
And they asked her, "Why'd you do that?" And she's like, "Well, at first I thought time travel would be a fun thing to play with, but then it just becomes this crutch in the writing, where it's you just use it to get out of every situation or to solve every problem." And I think that's why the spore drive does have to go, because it is kind of too magical in a sense that it just, and then of course it's never again mentioned in Star Trek.
Yeah.
So there's that obvious problem.
I think
aside from that, I think it's just too magical in a way.
I understand your point of view, Valerie, in the sense that you would want them to keep the spore drive for the extent of the show, and then say it's not viable. But then it takes away credibility that they never use it again. If it was active and used for say 7 or 8 years, rather than here they used it for 1 year and they're like, God damn, it doesn't work.
Right.
So in the future, you're like, they tried this thing for a year, but it never worked. But in the future, if you say they tried this thing for 7 years, maybe they were onto something, right?
And it feels like that's what the May Tilly story is going to tie into, because May's species said that that Stamets, basically she identified him as the captain because that's what she saw, I guess, through her
he was the one piloting the spore drive.
So that's why she thought he was the captain. It's not, we're not going to meet another captain, a captain.
No, it was captain on an airplane, not captain on a starship.
Yeah,
she meant pilot.
Pilot, yeah. But anyways, it looks like whatever the Discovery does when it jumps, it somehow it interferes with that dimension, or it messes it up or something, is the impression that I got, the mycelial network or whatever. And in the next episode scenes, they showed all these cool, where it looks like they stop midway in a jump and then it lands, the Discovery partially merges with this other reality. It's going to be.
So they're going to break the spore drive in the next episode,
or they'll just decide we definitely can't use it. It's hurting a sentient species in the mycelial network.
Kind of like a force of nature in Next Generation when they decide they can't go over warp 5.
Warp 5, right?
But then everyone goes over warp 5 after that, anyways. Because they got better engines. They got better.
You know what? Okay, old man Picard needs to be about him on trial about that. You didn't tell anyone. He didn't file an official report. It's fuck. Warp 9 is awesome. I'm not going to tell anyone about this. He hid all the files and never sent anything to anyone. It's just a trial. Three seasons of a trial.
When the cigarette companies got the report of how cancerous cigarettes are, they're like, okay, nope, we're just going to be silent about this.
Nope, it's not true.
But going back to the spore drive, Stamets did say something along the lines of, I can close the universe off from the mycelial network or something like that in this episode. So I'm thinking that'll be how they destroy the spore drive.
Will the spore people,
the Jossip, they're called.
The what?
Jossip.
Dear God.
Just
I don't know how. I don't.
Coffee?
It's
just somebody for coffee.
Yeah, like that. It's JAH capital SIP, I believe is how it's spelled in the subtitles.
Okay. Oh, could you have this? Okay. Just memory alpha. All right. Anyway, so these guys, the spore people, Will they actually thank Stamets maybe? Because if Stamets from Prime Timeline had never, used the spore drive, then Mirror Stamets would have literally destroyed all the universe, because that's what they said in season 1. They said that he would have destroyed all of the universe if Prime Stamets hadn't stopped him. So not only did the USS Discovery from Prime Timeline have to cross over to the Mirror Universe, but they also had to do everything that they did to do that to actually save the entire universe. So will the Spore people thank him for that?
They should.
Are they aware of that?
I like that they're called the Spore people.
They're not. They're called the Just Sips.
Just sipping on some drippers on the beach.
How did you spell that?
JAHSIPP. I think they didn't have a Memory Alpha page yesterday, but they might.
They don't have one now. They did a Memory Alpha page on friggin' the Sphere, but not
Were you continue? I loved Reno when we first meet her. And I loved her in this episode. What did you guys think of her character and like the little bit of like tension between her and Stamets?
That
and
was great. That was one of the
standout
standout scenes.
Like, yeah,
I love that. I love the banter between these two characters, because in season 1 we have this. I found that the drama was too much, and it was all very clearly, staged anger or frustration, and it just felt over the top. Whereas this did feel like banter. It felt like, Bashir and O'Brien, and I like that.
Spock and McCoy.
Yeah.
I also felt like in this episode, he's kind of getting out of his depression a little bit, Stamets, because he wasn't as like sad. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like there are plenty of other things to be sad about in this episode, but I thought Stamets was actually kind of recovering from his grief a little bit in this episode, which I liked also.
That reminds me of another thing about the cortical implant that they install in Tilly.
Oh yeah,
that is what he was using.
About the blob.
Venom. About the Venom symbiote.
Yeah,
attached to Tilly.
It's Venom. It's true.
We are Tilly.
The cortical implant.
And then the spear is Unicron. No, sorry, go on.
They had that cortical device in the first episode of the season when he was like rewatching those video messages of his boyfriend. And that kind of bugged me when we saw that, because I was like, that is a weird technology to have in this time period. One of those things that Discovery does. But no, that's actually something that you use in the spore drive. He said that device was for like coordinating your brain with the navigation of the spore drive.
Syncing it up, yeah.
Yeah. To be honest, that scene was just done to be cool.
It was a cool effect.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's what it was done. Okay, so how does the tardigrade tie into all of this in any way? Because at this point, the only thing I can really imagine is the tardigrades in this story are kind of like they kind of like those. Have you guys seen Aquaman? Right?
No, I haven't seen it.
They have giant dragon seahorses in Aquaman.
I've seen Aquaman
that they ride, right? In the movie, that's what they use. And I feel like that's the only reason why we have the tardigrades in Discovery, because they're like the rides of the spore people.
When
what if Sporeland is like Avatar?
But, oh god, that means they're all connected with their tails and they mate the same way that they ride their horses.
Yeah, what if like May actually looks crazy and she's riding around on a tardigrade, like just like hopping across time and space?
That's too much like the Orville. We've seen that already.
What are you talking about? Let's not talk. Or let's just.
We had a scene where Alara was riding some sort of unicorn in front of a multi-sunset on a beach. It was the most cringy scene I've ever seen. Anyway,
I think based on, we talked about this earlier, but I think based on all the controversy with the game, we're never going to see the tardigrades again. They were just like a one-off.
I don't know. They do bring it up a lot. They've mentioned it a couple of times this season.
Yeah, you had to be there. That kind of stuff. That kind of funny.
But when the tardigrade, I
still can't figure out why was it there, in what was its purpose at the end? Because there's a lot of season 1 plots that when you think about them, God, it's hideous. When you think about them, they kind of don't. They're not useful, or they're never really used anymore. Because even Koba, where the hell is he?
Yeah, well, the original idea, like we were talking about earlier, was that it would just be a regular character on the show, and the CGI was too expensive, so they're like, "Oh, it can only show up a couple of times."
What would his voice have been like?
I don't. Danny DeVito, because he didn't get to do Detective Pikachu.
Yes.
Yes. So he's just like getting in the spore chamber, and be like, "Okay, go ahead and get the nipple clamps on me. I'm ready to spore jump."
Oh my god, that would have been amazing. You win. You win today's episode.
It would be this. You'd be like, "All right, Captain, I'm ready to jump.
I think you deserve a bridge clap.
Bridge clap. And now there's the bridge salute where we stand up. Hold on, here we go. We're gonna
do
your bridge.
I hope you're wearing pants.
Do I have to stand up? God damn.
Because we do get. I was wondering what you would think about that, Sean. What did you think of the bridge salute at the end, where everyone stands? I loved it. Of course,
I'm okay with the bridge salute because it's implied that Saru's off to die. He's on his way to die, and so everyone kind of stands up and pays their respects to like their comrade and officer. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with them standing up.
I didn't notice that they all stood up when he leaves.
It starts with Captain. It's actually a really moving scene. It starts with Captain Pike getting up out of his chair, and then is she Lieutenant Non or Commander Non?
Commander Non.
Yeah, notices and then gets up, and then all the rest of the crew follow suit. And I love it. It's just like I was so hungry for this kind of pomp and circumstance associated with, like, it's just kind of like protocol stuff that you got on Star Trek of old, if you will, and it's nice to see it in the new Star Trek.
If you wanted
the camaraderie,
yeah.
If you wanted to follow up to like my whole beef with the clapping, because I find it too much, right? This episode's equivalent of that would be when Burnham says like something to the effects of our original Discovery's original mission statement is as a science vessel. And I don't know, it's just in those moments, I kind of feel like it's the writers addressing the audience more than the character actually saying something like a line of dialogue. It kind of feels like they're trying to defend themselves by saying, yeah, we know Star Trek's about exploration and we're doing an episode about, discovery. Right, calm down.
I like that,
really
though.
Take it personally. Yeah, I
did take it personally.
I didn't take it that personally at all. That was like, that's pretty intense. You're like, they're talking to me. I know it.
I know. I bring that up, though. They need to bring that up more often. That Discovery is supposed to be the scientific ship that does all the cool science stuff.
Stop talking about it and just do it. Right? This is my problem. Stop saying we are Starfleet and just be Starfleet. Like, stop saying...
The Enterprise is technically an exploration vessel and has science...
But it doesn't go around saying we are exploration, we are this, we are that. They just go out there and do things and find things, and then they talk about it. And then when they kill something, Picard gets all depressed on his chair, right? Killed the space whale. But
how many simultaneous experiments do you think happen on the Enterprise D?
I don't know.
If you had to guess, the Discovery has 300.
Well, a lot, because the Enterprise D is a ridiculously large, gigantic ship.
Yeah, and they have a Data and a Wesley, which are constantly doing a million things at once.
Yeah, they have a bunch of labs on there. They have like a lab for everything.
It's true, but
Riker's the only person that's never running an experiment.
He's running an experiment, but it's on some of the women on board the ship, and not.
Yeah. He's got long-term investments in women on the ship.
Okay. I have a few more points that we haven't talked about. By the way, this is a fun discussion. I'm really learning a lot about a lot of things that I didn't catch. So thank you. You're educating Starfleet Boy, and that's what
it did take us 10 minutes to actually start talking about the episode.
I still feel like we haven't talked that much about it.
No, not really.
Exclusively about it, I think, maybe.
I love the sphere.
What did you think of? that's gonna take it away, Sean. Take it away.
I love the sphere. I am a little okay. This might be my build-up frustration from season 1 that's kind of coming over to season 2, because when of course the sphere gives them like 10,000 years worth of data, and it's so much data. It all feels a little much. Like, why does it always have to be so big on Discovery?
100,000 years, by the way.
100,000. Okay, so it's even bigger. Like, why does it have to be so much? But then I can get over it. They found this one sphere, this one being. It gave them knowledge, and it's cool. But I really like the idea. I like the CG. I would have liked to. I would have liked to see more beauty shots, maybe, of like just show us the friggin' sphere. But then I understand that it seemed like a complicated thing to, to render, I suppose. But
I hated the design of the Discovery last season, and this season I'm like, really, it's grown on me. Because
I feel like they tweaked it though.
I do believe they may have, but it just looks beautiful this season. It's like the way
the ship itself.
Yeah.
Trek Yards were trying to the channel Trek Yards. They were trying to compare some of the shots of it to previous episodes because they thought that they might have tweaked the design. But when they did like side by sides, the CGI model looked the same. I think it's just that they're lighting it better.
Yeah,
and we're getting better angles of it. Oh, fantastic. One thing that bugged me in this episode,
and longer shots.
When number one beams aboard in the opening of the episode, it bugged me that we don't know where the hell she's beaming from. Is there another ship nearby? Are they at a starbase? Like that's stuff they did in season one a lot.
This happens a lot in Discovery because in short treks, like the princess, she just beams out, and we're like, where did she go? Like
that is possibly the main reason why that is the worst short trek.
Well, I'll tell you what, it could become the best short trek if you learned that Tilly was actually working for Section 31 and she beamed it to a cloaked Section 31 ship.
Oh my god,
that would be awesome.
Tilly is a sleeper agent working for Section 31.
That would be amazing. That would make that short trek the best, and it would make Tilly like just mind-blowingly amazing. But that's not true. That's not going to happen. So
well, yeah, because you said it. It's on record now.
I know. I said it, so they can't use it now.
Yeah.
Everything I say, they can't use.
Fail whale.
I don't know if that
make the Red Angels the Iconians.
And they're talking. And they're talking to you directly, Sean. When
I don't know. I felt personally addressed by that, but whatever.
I am offended, sir.
Like Sonequa Martin Green looked at the camera and she's like, Sean in Quebec, we want you to know that Discovery is a scientific ship.
Okay, I would have liked that. to be honest, I would have loved that.
I think
it would be the most horrible thing.
Owe you an apology.
It would be horrible if they talked to me personally on that level, but they still never called me or hired me. Right? They're taunting me. It would be terrible.
Like he gives all his ideas away for free on Starfleet Boy. So why do we need to hire him? He's like. Anyways, we're getting a little carried away with my shows.
Okay, so I know we were supposed to be very much engaged in the Saru plotline, but I found myself enjoying the whole Tilly Spore Drive thing a lot more. Because I would have preferred them to focus maybe more on the sphere itself than the effects it was having on Saru. And I understand why they did it. They wanted to do like a Saru-centered episode, I suppose, and kind of build his character and the species. But I would have liked us to investigate the anomaly a little more. I'm not saying beam aboard it or whatever, like we've seen in TNG happen, but I don't know, maybe just spend more time trying to figure out what this thing is. Because essentially it was just a big ball of fire that came, it spoke, it died.
Well, it was, I mean, yeah.
It came, it spoke, it died.
But yeah.
I think that what I did like about the sphere is that it reminded me of these just weird things that are floating around in the universe, like the space amoeba or like
the crystalline entity.
What happens? Do these things meet at some point? Does the crystalline entity meet with the space amoeba at some point?
They have like a.
Do they have like a duel? Is it like a space beef going on?
Welcome to Space Entity Con 2394. We got the cylinder probe from Star Trek 4 rolling up. Here's the Gormagander, Discovery Season 1. Here's the Tin Man.
What? Yeah, it actually reminds me of Gum. Yeah, it's true. You're right.
Wesley Crusher.
The Traveler shows up. Q is there. The guy with the shower curtain wrapped around him from And the Children Shall Lead.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Wow. What are we calling the sphere? Do we have a Starfleet Boy name for it?
It's officially designated as the Sphere on Memory Alpha. So
they didn't really give anything. Like it had multi-phasic stasis field. So I guess maybe like the multi-phasic sphere.
It could also be called the Fireball because it looked like a fireball.
I wish that it wasn't red, because when we first see it, I thought, oh, they like went to a red burst. But then, like, no, that's not even what it is.
Yeah, well, it wasn't blue.
And I thought that. I was like, well, they can't make it blue because everything on the show is blue. I almost said a dirty word there. But they could make it green, I guess. And then when it's about to die and it gets hot, it turns like more green-yellow, and then it's like yellow, and gets really bright and blows up.
That reminds me, it was really cool when they switched to the ultraviolet view, and then you see it like look completely different, and we kind of understand a little bit how Saru sees the world. I don't know if they've ever done this on Star Trek other than Geordi's visor, but have they ever done from the perspective of like an Andorian?
Didn't we have a perspective of species 8472 at some point in Voyager?
Is that right?
Yeah, when they're like on the Borg cube, I think.
So you see through its eyes?
I think you do at some point. I haven't.
No. I think when it comes back on Voyager and it's like running through the corridors, like
we've seen through Borg's eyes, because I think they do that on First Contact.
Yeah.
I don't recall, but I mean, maybe.
Well, they call it Pike calls it the spider, if you want to call it the spider.
Yeah. Spider ball.
Spider ball. Spider ball. Spider ball.
It's like the very slow moving version of Spider-Man.
Was it slow? Was it slow moving?
That's my impression. I don't know, but
I mean, it plucked a ship out of warp.
But then, does it have to be fast? So it's that big. It should have had like an attraction, right? There should have been like an orbit, like a gravitational pull on that thing, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, they said what the mass of it was, and it was huge. It was like something like 6 to the 10th power or something like that.
I read on the internet that the exact size of this ball of the spider ball that they give is the same size as the moon Charon, the Charon moon.
Oh.
Or planet Charon, is it?
Yeah, in our solar system.
In our solar system, and so that ties into the episode title, which is
excellent.
Oh, that is cool.
That's fun.
That's super excellent. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that who like that works at NASA and like knows like the size of every.
I don't know, but
that's so clever.
Some people find some things. You know, the whole point of light. Don't know if you guys saw my last video, but I talked about the title, like episode title, "Point of Light."
Yeah, I don't know if you saw my podcast on that, but one of the things that I kept going on about was like, why call this episode "Point of Light"? That's a boring, stupid title. This whole episode is about.
Turns out it's about planet. What's its face?
Borath.
Borath. Yeah, it's about that. Anyway, the people that find these things, because I need the internet to help me make my videos.
I have a gap in my Trek knowledge. What's planet Borath?
That's where the monastery is from the Next Generation episode "Rightful Heir." When that's where they drop off the albino baby, which may or may not grow up to be the albino from DS9 episode Blood Oath.
So the thing is, the episode was called Point of Light, and no one really understood why they called it Point of Light. Yeah. It was kind of a boring name, especially for an episode that had nothing to do with any of the red bursts or anything. But then you find out that Kalis called Planet Borath Point of Light, and then at the end of that episode, we go to Planet Borath, and we deposit baby Vok baby.
Yeah, in Klingon mythology, he pointed at that star and said, I will return from that point of light.
And so it was a great tie-in. I mean, they do holograms everywhere, but then they do that kind of stuff. So you're like, you guys clearly know what you're talking about. But
well, the writers do, but I think it was more of just like the production design that
we need
Aaron Harberts that when they were the showrunners, they wanted things like, you know, flashy holograms and stuff like that.
Like kind of blamed that on Les Moonves too, and now he's gone. So I feel like
this episode was written or co-written by Aaron Harberts and Christian J. Berg, by the way, and I think this will be the end. This is the end of the impact that they've had on the show.
There could potentially be like a future script that they had worked on. But
okay, so they would rework the script maybe, and like they would have to legally keep their names on it.
Like this episode, it said like it had like a writer credit, and then it had like a story credit.
Yeah, it didn't feel like them.
Story credit.
It didn't feel like season 1 or their way of creating characters. Like Lieutenant Connolly is very clearly an Aaron Harberts, a Gretchen J. Berg concept. And I won't go too far into that, but
Lieutenant Mansplain.
Yeah, this episode didn't feel like that at all.
What was the revelation about Saru's people? Is it that they mature and these ganglia fall out and then they don't have fear anymore? But like up until now, they've all been slaughtered until then, or you know,
he moved on to the next step in his evolution, wasn't it, or something like that?
Yeah, but like he doesn't have the fear anymore, like that constant anxiety.
Right, so, but he was saying that like the ganglia coming out full time like that is the mark or the time when you're culled, right? Like that,
Vahari.
The Vahari, right? Exactly,
yeah.
And that's what they talked about in that short Treks episode. So all of those.
It's all very confusing to me. The whole
it
thing.
Is. They need to clarify.
Originally, it was just the Kelpians are being hunted by an alpha species. And then the short trek establishes that they go willingly. They freely go and sacrifice themselves like a bunch of morons.
Well, because they think that, like, just like Saru thought, like,
and then now they explain that the thingamajigs come out, and when these thingamajigs come out, on a biological level, he has to die or some shit. So I don't know how all of those plots tie into each other.
They said like, whoa, hey, Gary.
Oh damn.
Hey, what's up?
Gary,
Hi.
coming into the...
Gary, we've never talked before, but...
No, we haven't. Hi, nice to see you.
How you been?
You're just in time to give a rating.
Huh?
How do you know Gary's rating?
Oh, no, I just popped into the right time then.
We were actually in an intense discussion about Saru's people. Like, it's very nerdy.
Lord.
I loved it.
Can't wait to listen to that.
Well, to finish that point, so Gary, what we were wondering, like, what is the deal with the ganglia? Like, it seems like at some point, the way I saw it was, what I saw was like the equivalent of like how humans go through different stages in their own lifespan, right? So like when we pass from puberty into adolescence, and then, you know, like from adolescence into adulthood. So maybe Saru's people like have never gone into their adulthood, so to speak, because when the ganglia, when Vahari or whatever comes up, they always just willingly have gone to, they're like lemmings, they just jump off the cliff, so to speak, you know, like without knowing.
Kiss.
And because Saru had to like endure past it, like now he's like, oh crap, like, and what if his dad actually has gone through the Vahari and doesn't have his threat ganglia anymore either? And you know that there's like all kinds of interesting implications going on there.
I have a feeling that the Mirror Universe secretly taking them out and they're making them into soups.
What?
Oh, he's saying that the actual. So we came up with.
I'm just thinking because they're so popular. Apparently, so popular in the Mirror Universe to have ganglia soup. So I think fair to assume that the Mirror Universe secretly taking them out.
Oh my god! Did you think there's not enough Kelpian? Like the demand is too high for mirror Kelpians, so they're actually stealing prime Kelpians as well.
Well, why not? That's a really weird idea.
I don't know if we're gonna go back to the Mirror Universe.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
We do. We go back in like 12 years on the Enterprise with Kirk.
But not on Discovery.
That's not on Discovery. Like the Enterprise.
Spoilers for Voyager, but Kiss is an Okampa,
Okampa.
Okay, and so she eventually becomes non-corporeal. She like evolves into this next state of existence, right?
Yeah, she's gonna be at Entity Con with all the other creatures.
Yeah, exactly, right. And so
then, that's interesting because she later on she comes back as a corporeal being.
But then isn't that by her own choice or some shit? I forgot that.
Yeah, probably.
But so Saru, is it a similar situation for Kelpians where like they don't become non-corporeal, but they lose their ganglia and therefore evolve into like this higher state of their own existence? They now are in control of their like strength and speed and what have you.
We got a taste of No Fear Saru in that episode with the Crystal Tower.
Pavo with the Pavans.
It's explained that they're very strong and very, very fast and what have you. But then it's kind of implied in the short trick episode that they don't.
Without his spear, he went totally nuts. Like, do you think that can happen again now? Like, do you think that like
I have power?
he did.
Just rip Mike off the chair like I'm captain now.
He's just running around with his knife that his sister gave him, stabbing people.
I think it was very intentional, but there were two scenes that made me super uncomfortable. One was when he was like talking about how like powerful he feels. I was like, whoa, that's like off-putting about Saru. And then the other scene was like Burnham was actually going to kill Saru. I don't care what's wrong with you. I could never imagine doing a mercy killing. Like it's
TNG did an entire episode about how like dramatic that is to do. Like it's such a horrible choice and decision to make. Burnham was straight up, yeah, I'm gonna kill your ass.
She was ready to kill Saru.
DS9 covered that too with Worf's brother Kern.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. But I mean,
that wasn't long ago in my rewatch.
I don't think I was uncomfortable because I didn't think she like I was joking when I said like she's definitely wants to kill him, but it was just an uncomfortable scene because whatever, she made her choice. Like I actually think that, assisted suicide should be allowed. If you're in pain and you're suffering and you're not like, I couldn't be the one to do it. Like I would never be able to assist. If any of you guys had so much pain and needed me to assist you, I couldn't do it. Like
okay, but here's the thing.
The choice that Burnham did.
Here's the thing. Pike, when Burnham comes back into Pike's ready room, he kind of assumes that Saru died, right? But he's kind of thinking Saru left the bridge, went to his quarters, and then died, and Burnham was next to him as he died. I don't think in his mind at any point he thought Burnham killed him. Because that's a very different thing. Burnham killing another Starfleet officer as opposed to Burnham being there in the last moments of a dying Starfleet officer is very different, right?
It's very tough stuff. It's very like controversial, I think. And it's interesting that there's not more of a discussion about it, but like just the whole, I guess like, it's a personal thing, like where everyone stands on that kind of thing. But yeah, it was cool. I have one more thing on my notes. And then I'm done. I don't know if you guys have more notes.
Well, drop it on us. What do you got?
So I just thought, as a closing thought, I'm just like insanely impressed about these first 4 episodes of Star Trek Discovery. Like they're just so refreshingly different from last season. And I just love, to me, the standout moment or the standout scene was like, for me, what was like the most emotional thing, regardless of all the other stuff going on with Burnham and Tilly and everything, was like, I actually loved when Captain Pike was like, I have to do this by my oath and my conscience. And like, he actually like puts they did the most Star Trek thing you could do. They just like put faith in science and exploration and like goodness and like all the like things that, like,
and we are Starfleet.
Yeah, we're Starfleet or whatever. And then the reward is this like, amazing like knowledge that they're going to be able to like, figure stuff out with for centuries. So I just
use on the Picard show whenever Picard needs to learn something. He's like, look up what we got from that sphere 130 years ago.
A spider ball. It's true. So that's my closing statement. I'm ready to give my ratings. Now it's your turn if you guys have any more notes or anything.
I do think the sphere will provide some information regarding the Red Angel or the Red Burst. That's why they did the whole thing. I think that's probably why they did that.
Yeah.
Well, it gave them extra information about Spock's shuttle, so the chase is still on. we think that like they make the choice to like save the knowledge and they lose Spock, but at the end they're actually rewarded because the sphere itself also was tracking Spock somehow, and so they find out where he is.
The sphere wasn't tracking Spock. I think it just crossed paths with him, did it?
Well, but it like gave them the information they needed to know where Spock is now. So it was kind of an interesting thing. The chase continues.
How long do you think it'll be before we see Spock?
Next episode.
No.
No,
they're destroying the spore drive in the next episode. So.
Yeah, that's going to be a whole episode. I think we're 2 episodes away.
You think there's going to be a whole Section 31 plot line before we see Spock, right?
Yeah, so I think next episode is all about like getting rid of the spore drive. Then the episode after that is going to have Giorgio again, and it's going to be like a competition with her to get to Spock first or something like that. And then that episode will like end with Spock showing up. And the episode after that will be like the first one where he is like actually on the show doing stuff.
I agree with that.
Yeah, it sounds right.
Okay, I think season 2 is a huge step up from season 1 at this point. And to be honest, I kind of feel like in retrospect, looking back at the ratings that I gave season 1 on Starfleet Boy, I kind of feel like I rated a lot of these episodes pretty high.
Whoa.
Yeah. I kind of feel like I gave them.
You have to adjust your scale.
Yeah, I would have given a lot of the things that I gave 7s. I would have given maybe 6s. It doesn't seem like a big change, but it is to me. Anyway, no, this season is good. For the moment, it's good. It's become a show that I no longer really feel obligated to watch just because of the channel, because it has the Star Trek name on it. I'm happy to watch Discovery. I'm happy to sit down and watch it.
That's awesome.
And I'm going to be honest, it has a lot to do with Pike. I think that he is truly a beacon of light in this series. He brings something that just wasn't present before. And I kind of feel like the actor's doing the same thing as well for the cast and crew. I'm not saying like the cast they all seem very like nice people, but he seems so open and friendly, and I don't know.
A little moment to give a shout out to Anson Mount on Starfleet Boy, the actor who plays Captain Pike. He has a podcast called The Well that he does with his friend, and it's pretty neat. Check it out.
Yeah. The only time I've only seen him act in Humans before this, and that was absolute garbage.
He was also on that show, Hell on Wheels, the Western show.
I haven't seen that, which apparently is very good. I will say that even though Inhumans was absolute garbage, Anson Mount was good in it because he acts without speaking the whole time, and he still gives the best performance. So, yeah. Ratings or after?
No, Father hasn't given his closing statement, and Gary, you should give a closing statement.
What should I for? I didn't even get an opening statement.
I know, but it'll be a preview of your video tomorrow.
Oh boy.
Go on.
It's gonna be an interesting one for me too. No, I came last, so I finished.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and go then. With this episode, I was initially in love with everything going on and thinking, oh, wow, this is going to be my favorite Star Trek Discovery episode. And I felt that way until about halfway through it, until Burnham said, Saru, you're the most empathetic soul I've ever known. And after that point, some of the more emotional moments, they did feel a little forced to me. A lot of times, like the acting and the execution of the scene was so good that I could still go along with it. But just sometimes, you know, like the way they describe their relationship, how they're like family now, kind of feels like they rushed into that. It felt a little unearned, and I didn't quite connect all the emotional beats in there. So that doesn't ruin the episode for me. Just kept it from being what I would consider a perfect episode of Star Trek Discovery. I was super invested in what was going on with Tilly. I was super invested with the sphere. I thought it was a cool little Star Trek concept. I love the stuff they did with the Universal Translator. I thought that was awesome. It is undeniably recognizable as Star Trek. And, you know, I think at this point, you can't really take anyone seriously if they're saying that Discovery isn't really Star Trek. I mean, show them this episode. This felt more Star Trek than anything I've seen in decades. Not quite perfect, but definitely something to make me excited for Discovery going forward. I think they really have the show on a better track now than they did in season 1, and I'm very optimistic for where the show is going.
Awesome. That got me all. That was good. You win again, Father. Did you write that statement down, or did you just come up with that?
No, but I mean, I did record my podcast last night, so I did already get some of these thoughts out. But
it's interesting that you mentioned that, because it like when I was talking about how Burnham says original mission statement of Discovery, and how I said that affects me.
That bugged you, like how the other stuff bugged me.
But what you said, you are the most empathic soul, is literally, I have those two sentences next to each other because those are part of the same problem for me. It's kind of like sometimes they talk instead of doing a little too much, and so that's just part of my issues with it.
But the flaws grow smaller and smaller as the show progresses, and I feel like
certainly
absolutely, absolutely
by season 3
I'm happy that modern Star Trek stumbled on Discovery rather than on Picard. And I feel like it was a good thing that we got rid of all of the shit in Discovery, and Picard's going to come in strong.
We had to have a shakedown cruise before the ship was really optimal.
Yeah. Nicely put. All right, Gary, come on, just do it for fun. A closing statement. I know you were not in the discussion.
You can open and close on the same statement.
Same statement.
No, I agree with all of you what you said before. This felt much more Star Trek. I still cannot really feel, not from the show, from myself, that I'm watching like a classic TNG episode or a DS9 episode. I don't have the attachment with the cast to what I had with those guys, but I'm pretty sure after a couple of seasons, if we're gonna get there, it's gonna change. I do like it what it was for what it was, and I hope we're gonna see more of it, even though it has its flaws. But it didn't make me feel the way how I felt with other episodes. That makes any sense. And that's regarding from definitely a big improvement from season 1 so far. But yeah, just if they kind of keep this up, it's gonna be okay. It's certainly something that I'm feeling more comfortable to sit down and watch it. Maybe not the Klingon episode, but yeah, I would consider rewatching season 2, not season 1.
I want to go so far as to say that like there are even things season 2 is so good so far that like it's enhancing things from season 1 that I didn't like, or that I didn't pay attention to. And I think that's cool because you're kind of, if you want to have the full impact of how good the season is, now you almost kind of have to watch season 1 to see what, what I mean? Like it's kind of an interesting thing that it does. It's like, it's saving season 1 in a way. I don't know. We'll see.
Saving the face of Discovery.
Yes. What are you showing us, Sean? Should I put this on screen?
You can try. Go ahead.
Oh, there it goes. Hold on.
This is my official scale. This is how I rate television series as of recently.
Is that 1 to 10? By any chance?
What?
Is that like a 1 to 10 scale with some notes in it?
Well, it's 1 to 11, but yeah.
All right.
Absolute bullshit, bad, mediocre, average on the low side, average on the high side, all right, good, great, true greatness.
I feel like Discovery season 2 is sitting tight at all right at the moment. It's an all right show.
All right.
Whereas season 1 was really average on the low side to yeah.
I love this chart because I now understand what all right is in my world, which in my world, all right's like awesome.
all right.
Mediocre. So yeah,
it's absolute bullshit.
So Discovery went from season 1 being average on the low side for me to season 2 being all right, which is just a huge jump.
So in general speaking, Discovery is average.
It's always been
generally speaking, Discovery is average.
Yeah.
But by the way, that's a huge leap since you have so many spokes on your scale. From average on the low side to all right is actually you're going 1, 2, 3, 4 notches up on your scale. That's a huge.
It is. It's huge, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Fascinating.
I will be using this.
I feel like we're gonna use this
now.
on Drug Space 9 with your permission. on the new Drug Space 9, this is gonna be the new scale. No more 1 to 10s. It's got to be.
The threshold is absolute bullshit.
What episode for you is True Greatness?
True Greatness? An episode of Star Trek. The Visitor.
Okay, so on a scale of on a scale of Threshold to The Visitor, where would you rank an Obal for Charon?
Oh wow, that's great.
Where would I put it? I don't know. It would probably be an average on the high side on this scale.
I give the
no, it'd be all right. It would be all right.
I give the Obal for Charon great on your scale.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
But do we have to do real ratings?
Well, I give it a 10. I'm Gary from the TNG season 2.
Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing this. Goodbye.
I remember you gave a lot of 10s in season 2 of TNG, Gary.
I gave a lot of 10s in TNG.
How do I stop this? Good, I'm back.
No, I would put either season of Discovery way over TNG season 2.
Well, what are your ratings, gentlemen, for this episode? Gary, I know your ratings, but you can go ahead and give it next.
What, me right now? Okay, yeah. 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Whoever wants to go next.
So what number is all right? All right is like 7 out of 11. Right?
I don't know, if it's Sean's scale, definitely all right. Maybe
well, I mean, my scale's out of 11, so it makes no sense.
Why didn't I know about your scale when I started Starfleet Boy? It's so much cooler than like.
Because I made it up last week for my video.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I need to find a way to classify season 1 and season 2. So, because like Dexter season 4 is True Greatness, but Dexter season 8 is like absolute bullshit. If that means anything to anyone.
What about The Expanse season 1 through 4?
Oh, The Expanse are all just like great. All of them.
Nice. All right, your rating, sir, since we have you on screen now.
Me?
Well, he was go ahead. You were giving your rating.
Sean wants to go last.
So I always struggle with trying to give like an actual numerical rating to something. I would always prefer to just have like a long conversation about it. I always have a hard time with this, but I guess I would give it a 7.47, just to throw in 47.
This was the first reference to 47, wasn't it, in Discovery?
No, they've done it twice before. They did it in the first episode. Second episode, they have shields at 47% of the Battle of the Binary Stars. And then 2 weeks ago, Tilly and her friend May, they were in school together in the class of 2247.
Okay. So I didn't pick up on
what was the 47 in this episode? I didn't catch it.
I think it is shields at 47% again.
Oh, wow. I didn't even notice that. And I'm always looking for 47.
I never notice it. Everyone has to tell me. Starfleet Boy might be brain damaged. Okay, Sean, what's your rating?
Brain damage. Oh my god.
I had a concussion. I still have it. It's still happening.
It's not still happening. It was a long time ago now.
No, it's happening. I swear it's happening.
I think I'd give this episode a 6.
So 10, 6, 7.747.
Yeah.
An 8 and a 10. Nice. So it averages out to.
Is this a real average that you're gonna do, or is this just a bullshit average?
Gary usually does the math. All right, let me get my calculator. Hold on.
What is it? It's a 10 plus an 8.
10, 6, 7.747, and 8.
No, 7.47.
Oh, 7.47.
7.86.
Okay. So we can round up to 8. 8, which does not rhyme with hate.
It does, though.
It does, though, yeah.
Gentlemen, this was wonderful. I feel like we had another summit. We always get summits together for Star Trek Discovery. It's so exciting.
It attracts more people than TNG does, to be honest.
Yes, it's a topical conversation.
Yeah, I'm the only schmuck that comes on to talk about TNG.
I've watched a lot of those. I've watched a lot of those TNG conversations.
Father wants to be on those too, right?
Well,
so I'll be on one of those.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of busy right now with doing the Discovery stuff, but at some point,
it's like, if a good episode comes up,
everyone wants to be contacted for Darmok and shit, right? But then no one wants to do all the.
Well, you're in season 7 now, right?
No, are we? No, 5, isn't it?
We're season 5.
Oh,
wait.
No, I think you're in season 6 at least.
We don't even know.
We don't know.
We do the show.
Oh my gosh. It's because we haven't recorded one in a long time.
It's because we just did season 6, episode 1, right? That was it. That was
that's why we're stuck there. That's why.
We're in a time loop. It's time zero. We're in a time loop.
Hashtag so pro. Before we go, audience, if you made it this far, thank you. First of all, 93 minutes, not bad though, considering there's a lot of stuff to talk about in this episode. If you made it this far, thank you so much for listening or watching. If you're on YouTube, please comment below with your ideas. You'll see links in the below section to everyone here's channel. Everyone here has a YouTube channel, so I'll start with Sean. He is Trek on the Tube. Go check him out. Indeed. And then Fathery, who is next, is Text Trek. And then Gary is Trekker Prize. I don't know why I said all those like so dramatically, but I feel like that's the William Shatner school of acting in me. Trekker Prize, sabotage.
Wow. Okay.
That's how he said sabotage, William Shatner. Sabotage. Anyway, so check out these good folks and their channels and all their stuff. Awesome stuff. And live long and prosper, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for being on.